Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Zodiac Bandit, and today we're going to be recapping episode 63 of Campaign 3 of Critical Role. This was a fantastic episode, lots of fun. I do want to say one thing before I get started. There is a name to something in this episode that I am not going to say. I'll get to that part when I get to that part, but goddamn, this name is madness to me. So, sorry if you wanted the name to whatever this thing is. It's not happening. Moving on to the actual recap. Let's go. We start in Isilra, inside the Shrine of the Emerald Tree. Orm looking to the ceiling and seeing a face on it. The face is humanoid. The face is smiling and then it vanishes in the shadows of the ceiling. He tells the others that someone or something is up there. A voice booms down from the ceiling or from the walls, they're not too sure. You are intruders inside my domain. Bor'dor asks if it's Hevestro. The voice says Hevestro isn't available, and that the party is uninvited here. Orm asks where Hevestro is. The voice says he is theirs. And a shadow begins to move down and lands next to the green pillar in the middle of the room. Orm asks again where Hevestro is. The face says, in me. Weird. Prism tries to get a sense of this thing with a 27 Arcana check. There is shadow essence from it, and there is a fey feeling from it. Prism says they weren't invested in Hevestro, so if they can work something out, they can. The face asks what they're doing here. Bor'dor says that they want to go to Wildmount. It asks everyone to come a little closer, but Bor'dor wants to make some ground rules before they do that. It then tells them to leave. Denise questions why it took this place. It says it's been here for a long time. Denise tries to intimidate it, and with a roll of 19, it narrows its eyes at her, and then goes back up to the ceiling. It then comes back down completely, landing in front of the party, and roots behind the party and begin to close the entrance that they came from. Denise says that this creature doesn't know what's going on outside. They might be on the same team. The creature says the magic that's affecting the world outside freed them, and they don't care about the outside world. Lana and Denise ask if they can help it somehow. With a persuasion check of 19, the creature says they can help by joining Hevestro. They roll initiative. Ashton 21, Denise 17, Orm a 15, Prism a 15, Bor'dor a 12, and Lana a 7. First up is Ashton. They rage, and the light around them goes all black and white like an old movie, and they run up and take cover behind one of the many crystals in this chamber. They hold their attack for when the monster becomes a little bit more hittable, as they were a bit too far out of range. Denise is up. She dashes up behind one of the crystals right near the enemy, and also holds her action as she was just barely too far out of her range. Orm is up and throws a dagger at the creature, just to see how it will react, and hits with a 23, dealing 8 damage. But Matt says it's not magical damage, so I assume it only takes about half, so 4 damage. After he throws the dagger, Orm crouches down behind a bit of cover. As Orm moves, the shadow creature throws a shadow spear, hitting Orm, pushing him back 20 feet, and he needs a dexterity saving throw. He saves. The spear sticks into the ground as if it was trying to pin Orm, but didn't pin him. Prism is up. She sends Mother to help Orm for this fight. Prism turns invisible with greater invisibility and hides, and then makes Danios hide as well. At the end of her turn, the shadow uses a frightening gaze on Denise. It's a wisdom save. Denise rolls a 20, saving from it. Bor'dor is up. He pulls out his crossbow and then casts Lightning Bolt at 4th level. It fails its roll but uses a legendary resistance, which I think was the only legendary resistance it had, as I don't think we ever heard it use another one. Bor'dor deals 13 damage with it. Bor'dor then runs up to the right with his full movement. The shadow creature is up. The creature lifts its hands, and the ground begins to shake in the room. The room's glyphs begin to light up, and a necrotic energy fills the chamber. Prism tries to counterspell it, but it fails. The party feel the room grow extremely cold, and con saves all around. Bor'dor, Lana, and Prism all fail, taking 28 damage. Denise, Ashton, and Orm take 14 after saving. It then moves toward Denise. Denise uses her reaction that she was holding, or uses her action she was holding, to move the hell away from this creature. She climbs up and away from it and moves behind the green pillar in the center of the room, or in the room. The creature then looks around the room a little bit, and a red sphere bursts out from the creature. The color near it also turns black and white, much like near Ashton. Laudna is up. She puts mirror image on herself, and then casts darkness on the red orb. Laudna then moves back from everything, just to stay safe. The creature uses a legendary action and teleports closer to Laudna. Ashton is up and runs to the creature and swings. On their first hit, they roll a 1, missing. They roll a 21 on the second hit, hitting, dealing 11 damage. Prism is up. Denise is up. She rages. She runs and jumps trying to reach the creature. As she jumps, she fails her athletics check, taking 2 damage from the fall. And she isn't close enough to attack yet. So she cracks her whip, trying to intimidate it, but it doesn't work. It's a little focused on Ashton at the moment. Orem is up and uses his dash and jumps down and lands behind the creature. He then action surges, attacking, hitting the creature with a goading attack, dealing 14 damage, and the creature fails the save for the goading attack, so it now has disadvantage on everybody except Orem. The creature hits, or he then hits it again, dealing 20 more damage. Orem sees a figure inside the shadows. The party think that it might be Hevestro. Prism is up. Danios casts Chromatic Orb, hitting the creature, dealing 27 force damage. The force of the impact moves the shadows away from the body inside the shadows, but only briefly. It looks very shriveled and old. Mother then followed Orem. Bor'dor is up. He moves far away from the battle and casts Cure Wounds for 25 hit points. He was very low from the fall they had on the last episode. The creature fires another Shadow Spear at Ashton. It misses and sticks into the ground again. The creature tries to move away from Ashton, and as they do, Ashton uses their Gravity Rage to sort of reduce the movement of this creature and imposes even more disadvantage on it, if only disadvantage could stack. The jaw of the creature opens up, and a green gas comes from it. Prism casts a 5th level counterspell, stopping the Cloud of Death. The creature turns toward Prism, but she's invisible, and Laudna is standing right behind her, so all it sees is Laudna. At this point, the other red orb within the shadows comes out. Laudna is up, and she uses her form of Dread. Laudna then casts Eldritch Blast, hitting both for 12 damage total, so not great rolls there. It uses a legendary action. It looks at Ashton, and its eyes flare red. Ashton needs to make a wisdom saving throw. On an 8, they fail, and they are now frightened. Ashton is now up. Ashton turns and attacks the red orb near them that spawned out of it. Reckless attack for 18, dealing 17 damage, and they add a Chaos Burst to it, dealing 10 more damage. The orb cracks a bit. Ashton then hits it again, dealing 19 more damage, shattering the orb completely. Ashton then runs away, as they are frightened. The creature then Shadow Spears Orem. Even with all the help from its teammates and disadvantage and everything like that, it still hits. Orem takes 14 damage and is pinned to the wall. Denise is up. She jumps down and attacks the creature. She takes another point of damage from the fall. She is not good at jumping. She misses her first sickle swing, but then hits another one, dealing 16 damage. Dealing 7 damage with a 16 on the hit, which means this thing's AC is 16, because the 15 misses. Likely halved to 3 instead of 7, because non-magical damage. Denise then disengages and runs the hell away. Orem is up, pinned to a wall. He uses Seedling to air cut at the creature twice. 1 crits, dealing 22 damage on the crit and 12 damage on the second one, causing the shadow to pull away from the body within long enough for Orem to use Grasping Vine on the body to try to pull them free. He rolls a 13 athletics check or strength saving throw, wasn't too sure which it was. Luckily, this was enough to beat the creature's strength itself, and the body is pulled free. Once the body is freed, the creature lets out a horrifying scream. Prism is up. Prism sends Danios over to the body and casts Dimension Door on it, and sends it over to Ashton. Danios also goes with it, because that's how Dimension Door works. Bor'dor is up after Prism. He runs up to one of the crystals. Unfortunately, it's a tough climb, so he doesn't totally make it. He then turns and fires a firebolt at the orb in darkness, dealing 9 damage to it, unaware if he actually hit or not. He then yells, "Shooting it felt good." Bor'dor uses a sorcery point to get their magic back, or 4th level spotlight back. The creature then moves and goes to cast something on the body in Ashton, but Laudna counterspells it. The creature tries to counterspell. Prism counterspells, so we had a big counterspell. That's not the first time this has happened in Critical Role. So the spell that looked like it was going to be a fireball doesn't go off. The face of the shadow then sinks back inside its weird shadow form. Laudna is up. She casts Hex on the shadow creature, and then Eldritch blasts it, dealing 14 damage on one and 10 on the other one. She then quickens spells and casts Chilled Touch, dealing 13 damage to it, and makes sure it can't regain any hit points. Laudna says, "In Shadow can't." Game recognizes game. It then pokes its head back out and says it back to her. Laudna then moves the fuck away. The creature then moves towards the body and reaches for it. Ashton is up. Ashton picks up the body and runs it back to the others that it came from. They dash to get even further away. They then block the body. Denise is up. She runs and gives the elf body a potion of healing for 9 hit points. The elf coughs up and is now awake. The elf asks what's happening. Denise says he was eaten by some sort of monster, and they should remember that they saved him. This elf is Hevestro. He has black hair, tan skin, and a bunch of tattoos. Denise then rages again, and then that's where her turn ends. Orm is up. He uses his action to pull himself off the spear. He then runs over to Hevestro and then baits and switches with him, adding AC to Hevestro. Prism is up. She casts a Radiant Chill Touch on the creature, dealing 9 more damage. The creature then sees Prism a bit as, she was using magic, and then Shadow Spears her. The Shadow Spear misses due to her invisibility and the cover that she's behind. Bor'dor is up. He goes up to the green pillar in the middle of the room and casts Lightning Bolt, hitting the orb, and then it goes through the orb into one of the many crystals in the room, causing it to go all over the place, and the shadow creature can't even make a save. The creature is up and moves closer to Bor'dor, but then it turns and casts Fireball on the group with Hevestro. Denise, Prism, and Orm take 35 damage, Ashen takes 17, and uses their ring to reduce it to 9. Hevestro is unconscious yet again. The creature sends out another red orb. It seems that the old broken one from Ashen earlier went back inside it and got fixed. Laudna's up, Eldritch Blast, and she casts Eldritch Blast, hitting with both of her Eldritch Blasts, 19 for the first and 16 for the second. The face is cracking and pulling apart. She then quickens spells and fires another set of Eldritch Blasts for 14 and 19 damage respectively. This is what is able to kill the creature. The face sinks into the shadows and tries to escape, like black goop being dragged across the ground. It gets smaller and smaller until it eventually reaches Laudna, and she picks it up and crushes it, seemingly absorbing its necrotic energy. The red orbs all fall and break. Bor'dor rushes over, using his full movement, and casts Mass Cure Wounds on everyone, including Hevestro healing for 14. Hevestro wakes up. Bor'dor tells him to wake up. They need his help. He says he's fully awake. He looks rough but alive. Bor'dor asks if he is Hevestro. He is. Bor'dor says he owes them, so turn on the green thing and teleport them all out of here. Hevestro says it's not that simple. The party explained that F.R.I.D.A sent them here because they need his help. Orm asks what happened here. This is where I have to put a small little asterisk here. There are names to certain creatures and entities in this section that I'm not sure if I'm saying them right. So, yeah, sorry. Anyway, he explains that they were getting ready for the Apogee Solstice, and someone must have let the Taker out, the Taker being the shadow creature, which has a different name that Matt says a couple of times, and I cannot say it. So that's one name. Hevestra is the keeper of the shrine to Umadua. That's the other name I'm not too sure if I'm saying right. An ancient Galdrasari spirit protecting this land. This creature was attracted to this place by Umadua, and the two of them fought. And Umadua sealed it away. Before the solstice, it got out somehow, and everyone became engulfed in shadow here. The party asks where everyone else is. Hevestra doesn't know. He's upset that they might have been killed off by this creature. The party says that they might have gotten away. There's no signs of struggle. Hevestra explains that Umadua was left mortal, with a mortal curse after the fight and sealing it away, and spent her last years teaching her ways here. Ashton asks if he's a Hishari. He says he's definitely not a Hishari, and sort of takes a mild offense to that. Ashton asks what he knows of them. He tells the party of a small village of farmers and a charismatic figure that arose. F.R.I.D.A? And the third name. That, goddamn. He traveled around displaying his abilities, telling people that they need to restore the power of the primordials in this world. He gained followers, settling in the small town of Tumoilo? God. Matt's names are getting out there, I swear. Tumoil is how I'm going to say it. The source of his power was likely his downfall and led to the destruction of the village. This village is likely where Ashton's from. Many were killed and some were scattered across. Aberdina was one of these survivors. The party asks if people go there anymore. Hevestra says it's very dangerous and people don't go there, and if they do, it's at their own peril. With all the questions they're asking, he thinks the party is somehow connected to it. Orem says they came here for help. They need to be teleported back to Marquette. Hevestra doesn't know anything that's happened since the start of the solstice and asks the party to enlighten him. Laudna casts a silent image to show the state of Marquette, the Malleus Keys, and Ruidus overhead. They then skip the explanation. You have no idea how much I appreciate this. They explain it, and he thinks that what happened likely freed the creature in the prison, or from its prison. He then asks the party what they seek. The party explain they want to each go to their certain places, except Prism, who sort of withholds her information. He says he'd be happy to help, but needs some rest. Tomorrow he can send them on their way. They're welcome to stay here if they want. He then stumbles out of the chamber back up to the entranceway. The party follow him. They go up, and they see that he's pulling 3 skeletons from the dirt, magically. He looks at them and nods. They were other people in his circle. They were followers of his. He feels like he failed them. He says the namesake of the creature continues to haunt this land. He's saddened by their deaths, but doesn't really like truly emphasize or like show his emotions. But he seems to be saddened by it. He'll attend to their rest. Before he leaves, Prism asks if he knows anything about the Githzerai. He's heard of them and that they're from the Astral Sea, the place between realms, but that's about it. He then bundles up the skeletons of his fallen circle and then takes them to bury them. He tells the party that they can rest safely in here. Bor'dor asks if they should let him go alone. The party thinks so. It's a private moment for him. He heads outside. Prism questions how they became bone so quickly. It's likely due to this monster's necroticness. They ask if they can take beds, or Laudna asks if they should take the beds from the fallen comrades of Hevestra. Ashton says they should probably test them first to see how comfortable they are. Prism tests one out. They're not luxury beds or anything, but they're better than sleeping on the ground. They're like a better version of a cot. They start a fire. Denise says Bor'dor dropped something, and she holds out his sling. He goes to grab it, and she entangles her arm with his, and says she thinks he's not telling them everything. Like she doesn't think he has a brother. He says probably not anymore. That's not what she meant. He then tries to resist her little entanglement. He can't. She wants to know more before sleeping near him again. She says he'll sleep outside then. He doesn't really care to explain. She asks him again to explain himself. He has to be let go of first. So Denise lets go. She just wants to know if he's trustworthy. How does he have magic? He doesn't know. He says he doesn't have a brother. He thought it would endear him to the party. Ashton insight checks. He doesn't seem to be lying. Prism asks if he recognizes the places that they scryed on. He didn't. Denise then asks if he's really a farmer. He's not. He's a leather worker. Prism insight checks this. Bor'dor rolls against. He seems truthful. Lana asks about his healing magic and that it seems like some sort of divine in nature. He says he never knew his mother, and he was told, but before he finishes that sentence, he stands up and tells his story. He's from the Menagerie Coast. His mother was blessed by the Wild Mother, and she taught him her ways in secret. They lived under the guise of some sort of leather workers. They lived in secret away from the city and the church. He went into town and got into some sort of altercation with a rich kid, casting inflict wounds on him. His mother took the fall and accepted her fate. His father and brother fought for his mother. This broke her faith. She then handed Bor'dor a dagger and told him to leave and to run. He looked back and saw her casting a spell on herself and the others around her, casting them all down. He then moved to the mountains and eventually came across a community that asked if he believes in the gods. He didn't. Before he stood up, he dropped a crystal, the crystal he picked up from outside. He cast a vitriolic spear on it. He drops his illusion on his face and shows that it's the same face, but a lot more withered and angry. A massive blast of arcane acidic energy splashes all over the party. They all roll saves. Lana takes 13 points, Prism fails and falls unconscious. Denise, Prism, Orm, and Ashton all save as well, taking 13. Bor'dor says, I saw you. You killed my friends in Marquette. I fucking knew it. This guy is motherfucking evil. I fucking knew it. I'm right on the ball. I feel like that's the first prediction I've ever made that came true. Fuck yes, let's go. Time to roll initiative. 23 for Orem, 23 for Ashton, 17 for Denise, 9 for Bor'dor, 9 for Laudna, and 6 for Prism. Orem is first. He drags Prism away and feeds her a potion of healing. He then baits and switches with her, giving her more AC. Ashton rages. They get gravity again, so everything turns black and white near them. They then book it right toward Bor'dor, dropping a potion right near Prism. They then slam Bor'dor in the gut with their hammer, dealing 19 damage. Bor'dor is knocked prone due to Ashton's rage, gravity rage. Ashton then smashes Bor'dor's head with the fucking hilt of his hammer for 13 damage. Bor'dor is still conscious. Denise ties Bor'dor up with her whip. He rolls a natural 20 to beat the roll. She then tries again. This time she ties him up. Bor'dor is up. He tries to polymorph into a hummingbird, but Laudna counterspells it. He says just to get it over with, it's now Laudna's turn. He says just to end it, but wants Laudna to turn into a creepy spider when she does it. He's mildly crying now. Laudna walks up to him. Her body elongates. Branches burst out from her. Her eyes become stretched and go dark. A faint purple begins to come from her pupils, taking her form of dread. She's right in his face, shaking. She says she's sorry. She just can't stand having anyone else betray her. She grabs him by the throat and does Hunger of the Shadow. It hits, dealing 26 damage, knocking Bor'dor out. Bor'dor feels his breath being drained from him, and his blood feels like it's been filled with frozen water. Laudna delights in this moment. She hears a heartbeat. Denise says that he can give them information. Prism is up. She takes 13 acid damage. She's pissed. She thought she was learning with him. She thought they were on the same level, that they were discovering their magic together. She was very pissed off by this lie, and she goes up and punches him in the face, giving him 2 death saves immediately. Prism says she invites anyone else to be reasonable about this. She just can't. Orem is up. He does nothing. Ashton grabs Prism and walks away. Denise is up. She feels bad and unties Bor'dor from her whip. But it is now Laudna again. Bor'dor in her grasp, helpless, at her mercy. She looks at Orm and he nods his head. She thinks to Bor'dor's words of knowing true pain. She thinks of all the stuff that's happened to her, all the death that surrounds everything, the helpless feeling. In this moment, she has control. She uses Wither and Bloom on Bor'dor. A purple flame bursts down her arm. It's very familiar. A bit of life grows around both Laudna and Bor'dor. Bor'dor's body is sucked of any life that's still within him. His body is reduced to nothing but ash and memory. Prism turns around and sees it. Ashton stands next to Laudna, and Laudna lashes out at him, or them. Ashton says it's okay. Laudna cries. They say it's okay again. The two go and sit down somewhere else. Orm stares at the remains of Bor'dor and reaches into his belt and takes out the locket he took from someone at the dig site, a member of the Ruby Vanguard. He tosses the locket on Bor'dor's remains. He then walks away. Laudna asks what she's done. Ashton says nothing. They haven't. They think they're going to all have nightmares before this is over. Laudna calls herself weak. Ashton says no. She's just hurt. Denise immediately looks through Bor'dor's stuff. She finds his dagger, his crossbow. The dagger is poisoned. At this point, Utrecht says he would have used it on them all. There's nothing about the Ruby Vanguard or the cult that he's a part of. He has a cloak of protection, a hat of disguise, and an immovable rod. Crazy shit. Denise digs up a small grave for him and then buries him there. Prism is looking at everyone, avoiding eye contact. She wants to talk to Laudna, but knows that she needs space. This was her first betrayal, and she feels stupid for punching him. She looks at what Laudna did and sees that that was the right thing, not just punching him out of, anger. She just feels embarrassed about falling for this ruse that Bor'dor made. Denise goes to her. Prism apologizes to her for punching Bor'dor. Denise says it's okay, she didn't know her own strength. Prism doesn't think that that's a good enough reason. Prism thinks the punch is what actually killed him. Denise says that that's definitely not what happened. Denise asks if she wants to pick something from his stuff. Prism is just going to go yell at his grave. She feels that the item should go to the party. She then goes and then yells at his grave like she said she was going to. Eventually, Hevestra comes back and sees what happened. He is sorry for what has happened to the party lately. He says to not let this weigh them down, to carry it with them. It hurts, but it comes with strength. He says they're a very capable group, otherwise they wouldn't have been able to save him. He has a sense in the trust of the spirits in this land that this group walks a faithful path. He says they should rest, and then he will send them on their way tomorrow. Prism goes to Laudna and asks if she wants to be alone or to talk. Laudna wants to talk. Prism says she's sorry for losing a temper. She's sorry people keep betraying the party. Laudna says that she was so lost it was a blur. She says that Prism is being too hard on herself. Prism says when Laudna did it, it made sense. Laudna says she's afraid what she did was hurt more than just Bor'dor. She feels like she's betrayed her friends. Prism asks what she means by that. Laudna explains that she had Delilah inside her and what the others did to sort of rid Laudna of her, and she feels like she's opened the door for Delilah to come back. Many dark shadows are being released in this place. Prism thinks they can close that door again. She understands what Laudna did and that it was necessary. Laudna says control is a fallacy. All the people trying to control shit when no one has control. She lost control to feel empowered. Now she's confused. Prism says that she can heal from this confusion. Laudna says that Prism is very smart. Prism agrees, and then says that Laudna is very smart as well, and also incredible magic user, and will likely be able to defeat Delilah all by herself one day. Laudna is very upset for Bor'dor. Prism is very pissed off still. Orm is listening in on this conversation, meditating on this place, and how the people have their reasons for their choices, and how everything was taken from him by ideology. He thinks about those who killed his family, didn't care if they hurt other people, and he'll die trying to stop them. Near where Bor'dor died, there's a sketch of him and his family. Denise sees it and then buries his dagger with him. It belongs to his mother. The party rests, and the next morning, Hevestra comes out of his room. He looks much more put together. He tells the party to let him know when they're ready to go. Ashton asks if they can take a crystal. Hevestra says yes, and Prism wants to take one as well. As they go to get one, Denise tells Ashton that she doesn't want to go back to the Cobalt Soul yet. She tells Danios and Ashton if, what if they go missing for a bit and not return and look at books elsewhere for a little while. Danios agrees in their own way. She then asks Ashton where to go. Ashton says that she's asking the wrong person. She says she thinks she's asking the right person because she thinks that Ashton will egg her on to go somewhere else. Ashton says what she felt last night is how most adventures end. But she's good at this and says that this ain't a good way to run from your problems or to run from herself. But she doesn't have to. Be a criminal nerd. They think that she should do it and not go back for now. They think she'll be good at adventuring. Danios says to go somewhere she hasn't been to yet and wants to go. Ashton suggests stealing from the Lord of Whitestone. I don't imagine that going too well. Prism and Danios are on board with that idea. Denise pops into the conversation and says to go to Kymel. It's a shithole. Danios agrees it is a moralist den. Prism thinks that she's running toward herself with this idea. Ashton asks where Denise is going to go. She says she's going to go for Dariax. Maybe she's going to start Niman. Prism says that she can scry on Dariax. Denise asks if Hevestra can tell where Dariax is based on the scry. Hevestra says maybe. So, they scry on Dariax. They see a low-lit, noisy interior with servers running around. They see Dariax eating. They look for anything distinct to see where they are, or to see where he is. With a 6, she sees that he is somewhere in Central Taldore, maybe Westrun. That was a very generous 6. It doesn't look like anyone is with him at his table. Orm pulls out a sending stone and tries to talk to Dorian, but unfortunately it doesn't work. Prism pulls out a poster of the Crown Keepers and shows Orm and says he's wanted by the mob and asks why they call him Nancy. Orm tells her to tell Dariax everything that happened and that he misses them. Orm asks if she wants to keep the poster. She gives it to him. She asks again why he's called Nancy. He doesn't know. Lana says it's been great to know Denise and thanks her for not betraying them. Prism pipes up and asks if everyone's friendship here is real or if it was fake like Bor'dor. They all tell her it was very much real. Denise asks if they want to go or if they want to go through Bor'dor's stuff. Lana takes the sling, Ashton takes the immovable rod, Prism takes the hat, and I'm 90% sure Orm took the cloak. I might be wrong and Denise might have it, but I'm fairly certain Orm took the cloak. I'm not too sure where it ended up. They all hug, and they go with Hevestra to teleport. Orm says this is their last chance to go with them. Prism says she's got to let Hevestra teleport her wherever he wants to teleport her to. Denise just wants to go look for Dariax. So they make their way up a hill. Or they make their way out of the tunnel. The hill creature outside starts to shift, but Hevestra lifts his hand and it stops moving. Interesting. They find a good enough tree. The first to go is Denise. He casts teleport via plant. He opens it up, and through it, they see Westrun. She says her final goodbyes, but as she goes to run, Prism pulls a piece of hair out of her so she can scry on her. Denise then runs through yelling for Dariax. The party choose to scry on Imogen again, just in case they've gone somewhere else. They see a city with 5 stone spires, and inside a lit tavern. They know the city to be Drushar, and the tavern is the Spire by Fire. Thank God they chose to scry on Imogen here, because they were to likely go to friggin', why am I losing my mind here? They would have gone to Wildmount, likelihood, which would have been bad. Ashton then gives Prism a ring so she can scry on them. Orm and Lana give her a piece of hair, and they choose to let Prism teleport next. Prism chooses that she wants to go to Marquette and check out everything that's happening, the source of all this shit. So they're all going to go to Jushar together. The tree opens up again. They see a garden high in the air with a jungle view. Prism casts Enlarge on Mother, and Prism glides through the portal, and the rest follow. The tree closes. Hevestra grabs some greens around them and says everything is changing, and then walks away. We get a final bit of information from Bor'dor that he is at peace and happy again with his family in the afterlife of this world. The party and Prism are now in Jushar, and this is where the episode ends. And there you have it, episode 63 of Campaign 3 of Critical Role. I loved this episode. I think this was a brilliant episode. Loved Bor'dor. I think that was excellent what happened with Bor'dor here. And I got one. Motherfucker. I got one. A broken clock is right twice a day, and this is like the first theory I've gotten right. So, I got one. Let's go. This is a fantastic episode. This sort of Team Asilra wrapped up a lot nicer than Team Wildmount did, for sure. It was also a little bit shorter, I believe. Like 2 episodes shorter, maybe. I might be wrong on that one. But definitely really enjoyed these guests. They were amazing. Amy is always awesome, in my opinion. Emily is great. She was awesome. A lot of fun watching her as Prism. And Utkarsh, brilliant. Fucking brilliant. I knew it. I knew there was something up with him. Brilliant. It was fun. It was fun to watch. You could just tell there was something underneath Bor'dor this whole time. And it was amazing to see it come to fruition. I didn't know if he was, like, working for the Ruby Vanguard, or if he was some sort of, like, Fae entity that was sort of helping them, or, like, trying to fuck them over somehow. But I knew he was evil. I could tell. I'm so happy I got one right. They were all amazing guests. Easily setting Campaign 3, like, way ahead in, like, the guest department, in my opinion. Like, F.R.I.D.A, Deanna, and then this group, Bor'dor, Prism, and Denise. Fantastic guest characters. Fantastic players in the game. Great. I kind of hoped that we could somehow get an EXU out of this group, but everyone seems to have gone their separate ways. And it sounds like we're going to, like, get the end of Prism's story with the group next episode, like the beginning of next episode. So I'm curious to see where that goes. And I am so excited for the groups to sort of come back together, and we have the full table once more. It's just hype. I'm so excited to see everyone come back together. Reunions. I think that's what the episode's probably going to be called. Reunions. So very excited to see how that goes. I think this was also, like, a really good combat episode. Like, I really thought that was a lot of fun combat. So yeah, just overall a really good episode. I will say, Matt, what are these names? These names are brutal. And I think every single name had, like, an E. Like, 2 of them had E's to start with, and then some sort of different letter afterwards. I was like, how do you pronounce these? But anyway, this is a fun episode. Thank you for watching. Peace. See you guys on Tuesday.